right, guys. Hopefully you got your famous dinner party story finished. There's always that Flipgrid that you can share it with us. But it is April and we're going to move on to some poetry this month. So, poetry is a totally different type of writing. It's kind of writing with no rules, but then again, sometimes there are rules as well, depending on what type of poem you are writing. And so, poetry is a good way for you to practice being creative in your writing. And so, we're going to do some different types of poems together. I know most of you have background of poetry, and so that's good, but I'm also going to be teaching you some new things. Poetry is a great way to share your feelings with people. I know some of you like to journal and things like that. A lot of people like to write poetry to get their feelings out. This is a book called Journey Through Heart Songs, and this is actually the author of this book is a little boy who was sick and decided to write poems to help him get through that time of his life. So that is a good example of how you could use poetry. Did you know that songs can actually be poems? You can see that they're written in stanzas. We're going to talk about this in a little bit, but songs can actually be poems just put to music. And then, of course, most of you know Shel Silverstein. Poems can be silly. They can be serious. They can rhyme. They don't have to rhyme. They can use a lot of adjectives. They can be written out in the shape of something. So poems can take a lot of different, they can have a lot of different traits. And so we're going to be talking about those this month. The first thing that I want to talk about is some vocabulary when it comes to poems. The first word is stanzas. Okay, a stanza is a group of lines. So basically this is kind of like the paragraph that we use in regular writing. A stanza is like a paragraph in poetry. And so usually a stanza is made up of 4 lines. And so in this poem right here called The Crack, this has 1, 2, 3, 4 stanzas. Okay, I've got another poem here. I'm going to read to you, I think, if I can see it through my phone. And this poem has 7 stanzas. And when we read poems, we kind of read them with like a rhythm. And just listen to how I read this poem. A bug, get it off me, I beg. Get it off, it's right there on my leg. When I caught a quick glimpse, it looked wrinkled and thick, like some crinkly beetle or a weird kind of tick. Now I can't stand to look as it crawls and it creeps, as its tiny mouth grins and its buggy eyes peep. It's squatting there quiet. That means something's not right. Oh gosh, what is it doing? Do you think it'll bite? I'm sure it will sting me or fly up in the air and with a loud buzz build a nest in my hair. It's what? Not a bug? Is that what you said? Do you think I'm crazy and it's all in my head? If it isn't a bug, perched there brash and so brazen, then what is it, pray tell? Oh, you're right, it's a raisin. So that's just kind of a silly poem, and I hope you noticed that after every stanza, that is when I kind of took my breath before I went to the next stanza. And like I said, stanzas are made up of lines. A line of a poem is 1 row of text. The cool thing about poems is that one line, it does not have to be a complete sentence, okay? So go ahead, cheer. I'm waiting. We don't have, grammar doesn't really, we don't follow the same grammar rules with poetry. So a line doesn't have to be a full sentence. It can, but it doesn't have to be. And so we're going to continue to talk about these vocabulary words in the coming weeks, but you guys are also going to be writing poems. And so the first poem, which I thought would be so good for us to do, this is called a bio poem. A bio poem gives information about a person to form a short biography of that person's traits and life. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to actually write an autobiography poem, which means that you are going to be writing a poem about you. And I'm going to put an example up on Yammer so that you can see my autobiography poem. But basically, there are parts of the poem that you have to include, and then there are some parts that you change to fit who you are. And after you have done your autobiography poem, if you feel like trying another one, you could do one about somebody that you enjoy. It could be a fictional character, it could be somebody from history, and I'll put an example of that up as well on Yammer. Okay? Once again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I hope you enjoy Poetry Month. Ooh, and also, if the weather is nice, I encourage you guys to find a quiet spot outside and write poems. That is the best way to do it, I'm telling you. All right,